This expansion is terrible. It's just another buggy expansion full of garbage. Well, that's what most people would say over on the Classic WoW subreddit, but in all seriousness, Dragonflight has been an awesome expansion so far. However, there are some issues right out of the gate that have pissed off a lot of players and have taken a lot of fun out of playing the game for some people, and so we want to talk about that today, the things that Dragonflight needs to fix, or things that they've just done wrong or need to take a second look at. So let's get started. We have 6 things to talk about today with this video, 6 major things, some minor, but they are in no particular order. Let's dive right in with number 1. Locked content. This is something that you will encounter most likely as soon as you hit level 70. So I went to our community Discord, we paid attention to a lot of comment sections right here on this channel, and one of the things that people were complaining about with Dragonflight is the fact that as you level on the Dragon Isles, you will quickly realize that you'll hit 70 from just a minority of the content. And you know, that's not a problem. In fact, most people in Dragonflight are going to hit 70 before they even finish the main storyline. That's what happened with me. I hit 70 when I had just gotten to Valdrakken, the final zone, so this expansion will rush you to 70 faster than J. Allen Brack running from Blizzard HQ. And in fact, I think this is a pretty good thing that the majority of quests are saved for alt playthroughs, endgame completionists, and people who just want to keep exploring after max level. This is great. However, there is a however here. The issue that we have seen from some comments across the internet is that the endgame content is locked behind the main storyline. High-end crafting gear requires you to complete the entire questline to unlock the Engine of Innovation questline, for example. NPCs that are important and portals in Valdrakken are also restricted. You gotta do the main story. Throughout the Dragon Isles, there are tons of quests and questing hubs that won't show up until you reach that part of the main story. And this attitude towards forcing players to do the main questline before they can fully experience and explore what is a sizable chunk of Dragonflight's content is completely opposed to the rest of the Dragon Isles, which is so non-linear and freeing. A little bit of a contrast there. It kind of feels like a holdover from previous expansions that's restricting the players and forcing them along a set path. However, having important content locked behind the main story is just forcing people to sprint through the story. Once I hit 70 and I realized that so much was locked behind the main storyline, I just sped through it as fast as possible and barely paid any attention to it because I really wanted to start doing some mythic dungeons. What can I say? And so yeah, it might be something that Blizzard wants to change in the future potentially. But what do you guys think? To be fair, this isn't really that surprising that Blizzard would do this because they want players to experience the story that they put so much time into writing and making the cinematics for and whatnot, but it just feels kind of like a holdover from previous expansions like I mentioned before, and I don't think a lot of people like that. Number 2, buggy ass ores. If you guys have been on any sort of discussion forum about Dragonflight, good luck counting the number of screenshots that you will see of people trying to reach ore nodes that are floating in the middle of the sky or are bugged inside of mountains or are underground. How does this even happen? Don't they have to like manually put them in and position? Like what causes this bug? If you're mining in the Dragon Isles like I have been, I'm a blacksmith and a miner on my Orc Warrior, you have 100% seen these floating rocks. Even if you don't mine, you probably have passed by these floating dudes a couple of times and been like, what the heck's going on there? There's a bug. It's not like a massive problem, like it's like every single node is hidden or floating or something, but it is prevalent enough that every time I go flying around, I encounter at least a small handful of nodes that are bugged or hidden. So due to its frequency and the fact a lot of people are talking about it and the fact that the nodes are supposed to just be a static part of the world, I have no idea how this has gone unfixed since they first added ores onto the Dragon Isles way back in the development, back in beta and stuff. And to be real here, Blizzard has this reputation of releasing unfinished and buggy expansions, and so something like this, albeit kind of small, needs to be addressed and needs to be fixed. If WoW is going to be the best, we need to demand the best from Blizzard, because after all, the last thing Blizzard needs right now is players feeling like they are being sold something that is incomplete. Small thing, but get it fixed. Number 3, lag. Yeah, we finally arrived to what many consider to be Dragonflight's biggest con, and that is the lag, man, the lag. Now, in my own personal experience, despite playing on the full server of Moonguard US, yeah, I know it's a roleplay realm, don't make fun of me. Despite playing on a full realm, I have not encountered that much lag. The point is, a lot of people have been complaining about the lag that has been polluting this expansion, especially in zones like the Azure Span, the Tuscar area, so much so that people are comparing Dragonflight's lag to Wintergrasp lag back in the release of original Wrath of the Lich King, for those of you guys who might remember that. Now, what's causing all this lag? Well, we're not entirely sure, but most likely it's all the various events that are happening on the Dragon Isles. Whatever the reason, this is a glaring issue for many players in this expansion, and it needs to be fixed ASAP. Number 4, getting weaker. So this is a big one. As you go through the Dragon Isles, you will find that despite you gaining talent points and better gear, higher levels and stats, you seem to get weaker compared to the monsters around you, or at least it doesn't really seem like it's making much of an impact. But maybe, to be fair, a lot of us are just too polluted and ruined by classic WoW, where the gear is so impactful. But I don't know. In dungeons, level 70 players do minuscule damage compared to scaled up level 61 players, and that's strange. To be fair, this is not exclusive to Dragonflight, and it has been present in almost every expansion since Legion, when scaling was added. At least for myself, the only time where I felt like my gear was really making an impact in the open world is once I was fully decked out in heroic dungeon blue gear. I don't know, maybe we're all just bad at the game, guys. Man, if only there was a bad at every game t-shirt that we could buy over on the Nixium merchandise store. Like, how crazy would that be? It would just be perfect, wouldn't it? Point is, I think quite a few people feel, including myself, that Blizzard might need to take a look at scaling again with the current World of Warcraft game, because we really want that next piece of gear to really change, and we want to feel it, you know? But you know who didn't get any weaker in this expansion? Yeah, number 5. Broken tanks. No doubt you guys have seen this bald-headed attic-dwelling goblin running around on his stream, pulling entire zones and laughing about how broken tanks are in this expansion. I mean, just listen to this smug bastard.
Okay. And that's just how it's done.
Yeah, it's true. Tanks in Dragonflight have been broken as hell since launch, and this has gotta be addressed. Now, I'm sure that Blizzard is gonna be nerfing them as soon as possible, but at the time of me writing this video and narrating this, this is not yet the case, so hopefully it's coming soon. And if they have nerfed them at the time of you watching this, well, excellent. How the hell did this level of class and spec unbalancedness, brokenness, whatever, make it through the beta? I mean, come on, Blizzard, get your act together. But I guess if you're a tank out there, you probably weren't complaining. I guess you guys had a great time. But let's move on to the final point, number 6, a lack of early game. To be honest, guys, there really isn't that much to complain about with Dragonflight. Dragonflight is a very solid expansion, and don't watch this video assuming that I am like hating on the expansion or spitting on it. This is just me offering a couple of criticisms to make the expansion even better in the future. But there is one thing that I feel really is lacking in Dragonflight, something that I feel that Blizzard really should take a look at in the next expansion, or maybe down the road with Dragonflight, and that is simply that the early game really was not touched with this expansion. Krendor and I recently talked about this on our recent podcast video where we ran the Deep Run Tram a couple of times. But the thing is, although we got all these amazing new features with Dragonflight on the Dragon Isles, the updated professions, the evoker class, like, although we got all this upgraded stuff, if you're a new player, you just now start playing the game and you're like, okay, I'm gonna make a level 1 character. I'm not ready to make some max level, you know, free boost guy and play him. I'm just gonna start at the beginning and work my way up. If you start at level 1 and you're doing those early game professions and you're going through the world, none of this stuff exists. I was hoping when they said, oh, hey, yeah, we're gonna do this big profession update system, I thought that was gonna impact the early game as well to make professions more relevant while you're leveling up a new character, you know, your alt, to make it more fun. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Really, it's the biggest con of Dragonflight in that if you're a new player, the early game really didn't get touched at all with this expansion. And that's a shame because I've made multiple videos on this channel talking about it. I probably will make some more in the near future, but the early game of World of Warcraft, it's really bad right now. And I feel that Blizzard really should take an opportunity to make an expansion or a patch or something that really shows a lot of love to the alt levelers, a lot of love to the new player, because your game is not going to grow if when the person walks in the door and makes their first character, they're presented to a bunch of garbage, a bunch of boring gameplay, right? I mean, come on. So that's my big negative with Dragonflight. Everything else is overwhelmingly positive aside from some floating nodes, some scaling issues, and so on and so forth. So there's really not much to complain about with Dragonflight. I'm having a great time with this expansion. So those are the things that they need to fix in Dragonflight, in my opinion. But what about you guys? Do you writhe at the sight of those Drakthir scalies? Is there an OP class that you want Blizzard to nerf into the ground? Or are you just a classic Andy and you hate everything about this expansion and you're never going to play it? Well, let us know down in the comment section below to be featured in our next video. And if you want to hear my thoughts on Dragonflight having leveled all the way to max, starting to gear up, whatever, check out the video on your screen right now, because in this video I go over the entire experience and how awesome it has been. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all on the Dragon Isles.